Live on Joy 99.7 FM, this is the Midday News. The news is also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions. We're on ATL and Castle FM in Cape Coast. We're on Jubilee and Sun City Radio in Keta. We're live on Twitter Spaces. We're on Facebook. We're on myjoyonline.com. The Midday News is sponsored by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. This afternoon,
your client is a wanted man. Will he turn himself in?
No, he's not going to turn himself in, because that arrest warrant was improperly procured.
Manhunt for Secretary of the defunct Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bisu, as the Office of the Special Prosecutor officially declares him wanted.
And we ask you to show up, and you don't show up. There are legal consequences to pay. Mind you, your lawyer will not be paying those consequences. It is you who will be paying those consequences. But something, we do not conduct ourselves in a military style.
We have all the details on that. Also, this afternoon, Electoral Commission proposes 15 reforms, including reducing the voting time to 3 p.m., special dispensation for females and disabled candidates, and insistence on the Ghana card as the sole means of identification for registration for the 2024 general elections.
One of it is for us to close at 3 o'clock, because we realize that most of the elections, by 1 o'clock, we're almost done. And people do a lot of things under cover of darkness. So we are thinking that even if you have to reduce the number of voters per polling station down again.
And also focus on the enemies in public but friends in private, the cat and mouse relationship between the Electoral Commission and some political parties.
One of them went on air. I didn't listen, but it's like he attacked me. So one said, oh, and then we can keep my own, but in a sense, politics and don't get offended.
And at least 15 suspects killed by police in the last 18 months during various operations to arrest criminals. The latest incident has sparked calls yet again for an independent probe.
The minister may have misled us, and we'll have quite a number of questions for him to respond to in the coming days.
We have sports.
Chris Hilton opens up on his decision to select just one home-based player as part of Ghana's 25-man squad for the Madagascar game.
And days of severe rains displaces over 2,000 residents and floods schools, destroys property, but help is yet to come.
Students' movement to class, to the dining hall, and then to other learning places have been inhibited.
We woke up and our mattresses were on the water, like our rooms, everything. You can even see the place very flooded. And come to our age, we are really suffering.
We're live in the area. That and more here on the Midday News. I am Emefa Apawu. And this is your home of independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Many thanks for choosing us. In our very first story for there's a manhunt for Secretary of defunct Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bisu, for corruption and corruption-related offences. The Office of the Special Prosecutor has officially caused a publication declaring him wanted. Lawyers for Mr. Bisu had earlier questioned the approach being used by the OSP, pointing out that the office was acting in a military style. Lead counsel Nana Ejeyewa told us Mr. Bisu will not turn himself in. Here's why.
We did not transition from military rule into democratic rule for the Office of the Special Prosecutor become a pseudo-military agency to witch hunt and harass people. We need to respect the fundamental human rights of people under the 1992 Constitution.
Let me ask you, as we speak tonight, your client is a wanted man. Will he turn himself in?
No, he's not going to turn himself in, because that arrest warrant was improperly procured. And so we are going to take steps to cure that.
Well, let me bring in legal affairs correspondent Joseph Akable with more on this. Joseph, first, let's talk about the latest publication by the OSP.
And so it's titled Wanted by the OSP, Charles Cromwell, Nana Benyi, Onuawanto Bisu. And it reads, corruption and corruption-related offences regarding the activities and expenditure of the dissolved Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, especially in respect of the seizure and management of excavators, machinery, road vehicles, and gold nuggets and use of public office for profit. It goes on to indicate in terms of the name, the date of birth. Obviously it's a male, the occupation being a student and formerly a presidential staffer. And we are told that if you have any information concerning this person, please contact the Office of the Special Prosecutor. You recall, after his lawyer, Nana Ejewa, had indicated this particular concern about the approach being utilized by the Special Prosecutor, on news file over the weekend indicated that if push comes to shove, they have the option of going through this means.
If you follow your lawyer sitting in his office, a lawyer who arrogates to himself the powers of the law, and sit in office and you follow the lawyer in respect of these things, and we ask you to show up and you don't show up, there are legal consequences to pay. Mind you, your lawyer will not be paying those consequences. It is you who will be paying those consequences. But we do not conduct ourselves in a military style. I'm only saying, if you give us the cause, we will come for you. If you give us the cause, we will storm your premises. But we hardly ever do that. And I have been at pains to explain that I withhold my hand so as not to show the power too much. I withhold my hand. And we treat people with civility. And that is why when the professor was directed to show up, we didn't say anything. My intel tells me he published the direction right upon receipt, but we didn't say anything. We don't announce left, right, center, this person has been arrested, this person has been arrested, this person. We don't do that. We don't do that. That the office has gone for an arrest warrant from the court. Is that the military style we're talking about? Let's just say for the sake of argument that is what the office did. Shouldn't the office rather be applauded that we are following legal processes? Is that military style?
That's Kisia Jabing, the OSP, on Newsfile on Saturday. But Joseph, this publication, where can we find it? Where exactly has it been published?
It's on the website of the Office of Special Prosecutor. They've also put it on their social media handles, Facebook and Twitter as well. And they are urging everyone. So if you have information, you contact the office and make it available. If you see him somewhere and you're able to let some individual or police to effect his arrest too, that will also be appreciated. But
do we know if Charles Bisu is in the jurisdiction because he was not in court yesterday?
Yes, in fact, we have spoken to persons close to him. They indicate that he's in the jurisdiction and has actually, in the last 1 week, been reaching out to various individuals as part of his preparation towards contesting the MPP primaries at the Esikado Ketan constituency. And so he's in the country, but he was not in court yesterday, like you rightly pointed out.
But have we heard from his lawyers, knowing well that they had initiated some legal processes already?
In fact, there are two processes that they have filed. One is on notice and the other is not on notice. So in terms of the first one, they've served the Office of Special Prosecutor so that when the case is called, both sides will be present to argue. They are asking the court to set aside the warrant that was issued for the arrest of Charles Bisu because as far as they are concerned, it was not procured appropriately. They believe that if they had been heard, the court would not have issued the warrant. In terms of this latest development, our sources within the legal team tell us that they intend to cite the Special Prosecutor for contempt because as far as they are concerned, the legal process that they have initiated means that he ought not to cause such a publication. And by going ahead to do so, they will bring it to the attention of the court and ask that he is cited for contempt.
And this is not far from over, I guess. So we'll be following up on it and bring you more subsequently. That's the legal affairs correspondent, Joseph Akable. And the OSP has declared Charles Bisu a wanted man. And that publication is out. You can get it on myjoyonline.com as well. Now, the presidential and parliamentary election in 2024 will start at 7 a.m. and end at 3 p.m. if the Electoral Commission is successful in carrying through its proposal containing the yet-to-be-laid constitutional instrument. Currently, voting ends at 5 p.m., but the EC is convinced creation of additional polling centres will enable voting to go faster, thereby justifying the need to reduce the voting time by 2 hours. Director of Electoral Services and for the Electoral Commission, Dr. Srebo Kweku, tells my colleague Evans Mensah the proposal, among others, also seeks to make the Ghana card the sole means of identification for registration to the voters' register.
That one of it is for us to close at 3 o'clock. Because we realize that most of the elections, by 1 o'clock, we're almost done. And people do a lot of things under cover of darkness. So we are thinking that even if you have to reduce the number of voters per polling station down again, people say we need to have about 2,000 per polling station. In 2020, the maximum was 749. But if you can even bring that one down again, so that we can close around 3 o'clock, we can finish the counting and almost complete the collation in the daytime. Because darkness is associated with a lot of illegalities. And
Which other proposals are you putting forward for 2020?
A lot of them. We are also thinking of giving rebate to female candidates and people with disability. Then,
some form of affirmative action of a sort for them.
Exactly.
You charge them less
Exactly.
for the nomination from the filing.
That is what we are doing. Some of the reforms may need legislative backing. So we have to revise the CI. Some of them are just administrative.
Exactly, the CI. What's the update on that?
Today, we are already there, going there to discuss the issue. So we are hoping that we'll be able to lay.
For the bonus, the EC's position still now is that the Ghana card should be the sole document.
Exactly so. We have not changed our position.
Well, let me bring in the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, Mustafa Gbande. Thank you so much for joining us. Key amongst the 15 proposals from the Electoral Commission we are hearing from Dr. Srebo Kweku includes reducing the voting time from 5 p.m. to 3 p.m. First, let me take the NDC's thoughts on this. You are in favor of reducing the voting time?
Thank you very much, Emefa. This is the first time I'm hearing this. I'm not also aware that my superiors, the leader of the party, the chairman of the party, the general secretary of the party, are also aware of anything like this. The party have not taken any position on this, but preliminarily, let me state that I believe that Dr. Srebo Kweku is a commissioner of a very enviable organization and holds a status as a commissioner. And that I believe that he would want to up his game to the status of a commissioner when he speaks to some of these things, before he renders the entire commission as a recipe for chaos and conflict. And I then say that when you are put in a position as a referee, you would want to uphold diligence and the highest level of integrity in the discharge of such function. And Dr. Srebo Kweku is not helping when it comes to this kind of standard. Well, how do you make up such proposals to say that you want to further reduce time of voting when you have not engaged with stakeholders? You have not engaged with political parties.
But if the party does not go for IPAC meetings, where else will the EC engage you on?
Well, the party haven't refused to attend IPAC meetings. The party's position has been known. The position has been that throughout many discussions, most of the proposals that the NDC will put on the table will be either rejected outrightly or the commission comes with its stance and will not allow anybody to contribute. And that when you have a referee taking such a partisan position, it does not help build consensus. It does not help build and stabilize the democracy of the country.
So your initial reaction to the voting time reduction is a no. That's what I'm getting from you. Is that the case?
It's funny that you haven't discussed with stakeholders and then you are running on radio speaking to such matters.
Okay.
It's very funny.
Well, and briefly also, just before I let you off, I know there's an issue will expand further subsequently. Has the party changed its position on the use of only the Ghana card for registration? You had the EC, their position has not changed.
No, our position has been that the EC decision offends the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana as much as it offends human rights and the right of Ghanaians to participate in elections. So that decision is not a political decision.
Okay, we are grateful. Mustafa Gbande is the Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. Well, the Electoral Commission also says renunciation of one citizenship to another country before filing of nominations is entirely the responsibility of the aspirant. Listen to Dr. Srebo Kweku.
That cross there, I don't owe any allegiance, should tell you that once you sign there, you are saying you don't owe any.
So you are trusting that the person, him or herself,
because he has sworn before a court. It's not just by mouth. The person has taken an oath before the court. Because if the person has a dual citizenship and he doesn't tell you, he says that I don't owe any allegiance, how will you know?
But that's what you have to verify.
How you are going to find from where?
But the state agencies will help you.
We have 275 constituencies, multiplied by maybe average of 4. So it means that you have to first look for whether they hail from the place, whether they are resident, whether they have resided, whether they have paid taxes, whether they owe allegiance, whether they have traveled outside the country. If you are to do all these things, and you can only do them after nomination. And the law is clear for parliamentary. So can you use 3 months to do that? And all the 3 months is also for you to be able to print the ballot papers and the rest.
I guess you've been wondering also about the cat and mouse relationship existing between the EC and the political parties. You've been addressing it.
Some of us are even classmates, schoolmates, we did courses together and the rest. We meet and we talk about our school days and the rest. But when there's an issue that we discuss, at times for political reasons, they will just give it to you. But when they finish, I remember there was a time, I'm not referring to anything. One of them went on air, I didn't listen. But it's like he attacked me. So one said, and then we keep my mobile and a sense of politics and don't get offended.
So they called you to tell you that?
Yes, 2 days ago. A top person who didn't call me. Some of these things, they are normal things.
Dr. Srebo Kweku is the Director of Electoral Services at the Electoral Commission. In that interview with Evans Mensah, available on all our social media platforms and myjoyonline.com. At least 15 suspects have been killed by the police in the last 18 months alone during various operations to arrest criminals. The latest incident is the Botiano shooting of suspected land guards, which has sparked calls yet again for an independent probe. My colleague Parkwesi Shandoff visited the area and filed this report.
A visit to the Akwasa Hill near Tuba in the Gesaut municipality of the Greater Accra region, where 5 persons suspected to be landguards were shot by the police on Saturday, showed what looked like a ghosted town. According to the residents, they are currently living in fear due to the violent incident. As a result, they refused to speak on camera. But we caught up with the owner of the farmland where the incident reportedly happened. In his account, he noted that he was absent at the time of the incident, but could have been dead if he were available.
I have been working here for a long time and I have never seen this thing happen before. What happened here has never happened before. Those who came here are not land guards, but custodians of the land. I am very worried that this disturbance happened here. I have lived here since 1997. This is strange. It has put fear in me. Everyone in the community is also afraid. I hope they don't allow such a thing to happen again.
The entire neighborhood now looks clouded in fear, quietness, and terror.
But what does this incident have in common with previous ones?
The most common denominator in all previous incidents is the death of the suspects. The police also tend to retrieve arms and ammunition from the scene. There is almost always the claim of exchange of fire between the suspects and the police. At least 15 people have died in the last 18 months. For instance, in February 2022, 4 suspects were shot by the police at Afienya during an attempt to arrest them. They were alleged to have attacked the police officer. In October 2022, the police shot dead a suspect while attempting to arrest him and his colleagues in the Ashanti region with multiple rounds of live ammunition retrieved. It is worth pointing out that some of the incidents, policemen were actually left with serious injuries. The issue of the police and deaths during operations is not new, with the most famous incident in recent times being the Zongo 7 one. A committee tasked to investigate the killing of the 7 at Mansu in the Ashanti region found that they were not criminals as had been alleged by the police. There was also no evidence they had engaged in the exchange of fire with the police. Government has since paid compensation to the family of the deceased.
We can hear from the ranking member on Parliament's Defence and Interior Select Committee, James Agauga, asking for a probe into the matter.
Once the promise was made, if they haven't provided the officers with those body cams, and we have repeated incidents of extrajudicial killings, which are unacceptable by any stretch of imagination. We can't justify these killings. Then it means that the minister may have misled us, and we'll have quite a number of questions for him to respond to in the coming days.
Meanwhile, security analyst Dr. Adam Bona is cautioning that the investigations should not lead to the empowerment of criminals.
Let's not do anything that will seem to suggest that we want to empower those who are terrorizing us in this country. I mean, the whole of this country, we are surrounded by criminal elements who are armed to the teeth. So, yes, 5 people have been killed, and I do know that the necessary protocols, when there are deaths, these deaths must go through a certain process of investigation. Yes, an independent probe. Why not? If we have to have one, we should.
Well, in a related development, the police have arrested 4 suspects at Kukbelga in connection with a viral video in which a female victim is seen being subjected to inhumane and degrading treatment by a group of people. The 4 suspects are currently in police custody and assisting the investigation while efforts continue to arrest other accomplices to face justice. Now, just before we go for a quick break here on the Midday News, more than 2,000 residents who were affected by torrential rains in Keta over the weekend have yet to get assistance due to the flooding. Some basic schools have been closed. Bishop Herman College, Keta Business College and Keta Senior High School are among the senior high schools that have been impacted. Matilda Jotepe, headmistress of Keta Senior High School, says academic and administrative operations of about 2,000 students and teachers have been seriously impacted.
Students' movement to class, to the dining hall, and then to other learning places have been inhibited. By then, one period is already gone. Then the day students too, moving from their various houses to the school. They are also living at places that have been affected by the flood. So how to walk through the water to the compound too is the problem. Some of the teachers too, most of us are staying outside the school. So the teaching and learning have been affected negatively.
We can hear from some students.
Student midwife of Keta NMTC. We are living in Keta, but please, we have been here for 3 years now. It has been raining, but we have never seen something like this before. This is the first time we are seeing a thing like this before. We woke up and our mattresses were on the water, like our rooms, everything. You can even see the place very flooded. And we don't know how we are going to cope with this and going to school. Even on our way to school, it's so flooded that we don't know how to go to school.
Now, the National Disaster Management Organization is currently assessing the extent of the damage and has yet to distribute relief items. Maxwell Lukudo, the Ketu South DC, says they are dredging the lagoon in the area to create a passage for the flooded waters to recede.
Yes, actually what we realized is we had to create a path for the water to flow to the main lagoon, which we started doing some of the temporary roads. So we realized that the water is now flowing to the main lagoon. Unless the place is totally dry, we have identified some areas that we have to do a kind of dam that can contain the water. And apart from that, we will have to do the dredging of the lagoon.
This is the Midday News live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra. In Kumasi, we are on Love 99.5 FM and affiliate across Ghana's eastern regions, Jubilee and Santity Radio in Keta. We're on Twitter Spaces, Facebook, myjoyonline.com. The Midday News is sponsored by Duraplus Ghana Limited, producers of quality PVC pipes and water tank. Where Duraplus goes, water flows. And manhunt for Secretary of the defunct Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bisu, as the Office of Special Prosecutor officially declares him a wanted man. When we return from the break, we have sports, and then
the President of the Republic has arrived, and when he's coming, we will kindly ask all of us to be upstanding, and we shall remain standing until after the national anthem has been played.
Well, we focus on the announcement before President Akufo-Addo arrived to commission his 161 kV Accra Central Bulk Supply Point here in Accra. That and more coming up after the break. Thanks for sticking with us. Let's do sports.
Yep, Emefa. Now, Black Stars coach Chris Hutton says there is quality in the Ghana Premier League despite handing a call-up to just one home-based player, Hafiz Konkoni. The 64-year-old made time to watch several games in Ghana's top flight in the course of the just-ended season, monitoring the performances of various players, leading to the call-up of the Bechem United centre-forward for the AFCON qualifier against Madagascar.
I've enjoyed the games, and there is no doubt there is quality here. But this is the Black Stars. This is the Black Stars, and you would expect the Danish squad, that is picked, you expect there's quality in the squad. So this is the balance I have. What we have in what has always been in the Black Stars are established Black Star players that are playing predominantly in Europe, that are playing at a good level. They're playing at a good level and good clubs in Europe. Those that can have that opportunity. Now that opportunity might come because it's a starting opportunity, or maybe that opportunity comes because somebody who's normally in the squad is not available. But I will pay big attention to the league here. And yes, there are quality players here.
Quickly, Emefa, before I go, the Saudi Arabian clubs are at it again. After signing Karim Benzema and N'Golo Kante, they are eyeing a move for Manchester United goalkeeper David De Gea. Back to you, Emefa.
Everybody's going to Saudi Arabia. Well, listen to this.
The President of the Republic has arrived, and when he's coming, we will kindly ask all of us to be upstanding, and we shall remain standing until after the national anthem has been played.
So that was the announcement before President Akufo-Addo arrived to commission a 161 kV Accra Central Box supply point here in Accra, obviously because of previous happenings recently. The plant is expected to stabilize and guarantee a reliable power supply. My colleague James Aveji is at the commissioning ceremony and joins us on the line with details. James, walk us through details of this particular supply point.
Okay, Mafa. So, as you said, it's 161 kV that is built here at the Graphic Road, and it is expected to supply power to the Central Business District in Accra. We are told that the demands for the Greater Accra, power demand for the Greater Accra alone is almost 1,000 kilovolts, and so this is to augment the power supply here. The agreement, we were told, was signed in 2015 between the two governments of Japan and Ghana at $14 million. And so from 2015, the project has now been completed and handed over by Gridco to the Electricity Company of Ghana.
This substation and the three latest ones we have commissioned and several ongoing and planned projects by Gridco would undoubtedly be a game changer for a sustainable power delivery in the country. That this August shall mark 15 years since Gridco started operations as the nation's sole transmission company. Hopefully, we shall use the occasion to celebrate, but more importantly, to reflect on our journey so far and the future.
Well, and James, just before we let you off, let's find out, after that special announcement, did we have anyone sitting during the national anthem?
Not at all. Everybody here was standing, including the chiefs and other dignitaries. In fact, you could see the president swaying his head left and right, more or less like inspecting whether someone has flouted that regulation, but that has not been flouted as far as today is concerned.
We can hear President Akufo-Addo also on this bulk supply.
The benefits of this Accra Central bulk supply point, amongst others, are 1, to reduce transmission and distribution losses. 2, ensure high reliability of electricity supply.
Now, let's focus on climate. And Ghana's cocoa industry could collapse by the year 2080 if the current rate of environmental degradation continues. This was revealed by the director of the Institute for Environment and Sanitation Studies at the University of Ghana. My colleague, Carlos Caloni, has more.
In the face of growing concerns about the deterioration of Ghana's natural environment, the media platform on environment and climate change, MPEG, and Afro-Sino Center for International Relations, ASCIR, have held the maiden biannual forum on natural resources, environment, climate change, and science, BIMNEX. Speaking at the forum, Director of the Institute for Environment and Sanitation Studies at the University of Ghana, Professor Christopher Gordon, revealed that recent research have shown that Ghana's cocoa sector could collapse by year 2080 if the rate of environmental degradation continues.
The projection is that by 2080, we cannot grow cocoa in Ghana except as an ornamental crop, because the conditions will have changed so much.
To help reverse the dangerous effect of environmental ruin, Executive Director of the MPEG said the biannual forum is to help enhance national conversation on climate issues.
My colleague Carlos Caloni with Climate Focus. And Holy Child rediscovers their winning form as they triumph over Asin Manso SHS, Odupon Community SHS, and Bremane Sikuman in the regional qualifiers, securing their spot at the nationals. Then Kumasi Secondary Technical also showed Holiko the exit in the last preliminary stage of the competition, but the ladies from the Angels Hill School are back like they never left.
The bright and morning star, in whom we ever live and move and are. Thou art the key to treasures new and old, that ends the toy of every day to go.
They announced their comeback to the nationals.
At a point, I was very scared because I didn't know the final outcome, but we believed in God that He would surely bring us to a successful end. So I knew that we would win. We knew we would win.
This year, what's the plan?
We don't belong here. We don't belong here at all. So we are working hard. It's just the first step.
And elsewhere, tensions are heightening as the fate of 6 schools that have won their contest in the Upper West regional qualifiers are yet to be determined. So 4 out of the 6 winners at the ongoing regional qualifiers in the region are expected to join St. Francis Xavier SHS at the national tournament. Emmanuel Baikweku is all over that also for us. And that's how we wrap up today's edition of the Midday News. You're on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com with a new and fresh interface to make it easier for you to interact with us. Charles Bisu declared wanted by special prosecutor, and Ghana has a long way to restructure its debts. Second round of DDEP expected. Please feel free to share your feedback with us on the new interface of myjoyonline.com. Enjoy it. We have Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil up next. I am Emefa Apawu. Have a good afternoon.
Doing gets you learning. Learning starts you wondering. Wondering triggers thinking. Thinking becomes planning. Planning evolves to trying. After trying, you're succeeding, winning, owning. Now, doing that starts with outdoing your limits. Outdo them all with MTN. So, what are we doing today?
If there's music in heaven, it's probably classical music. Bach to express God's love. Beethoven to express God's power. Mozart to express God's laughter. For a taste of heaven on earth, join Jeffrey this and every Wednesday from 10 p.m. till midnight for the very best of classical music by the legendary composers right here on Joy 99.7 FM.